Have you ever felt that sudden jolt of panic when someone questions your intentions, criticizes your choices, or misinterprets what you said? You know that feeling where your heart starts racing, your mouth begins moving faster than your brain, and suddenly, even when you know you're right, you feel wrong. It's like the ground beneath you shifts, and before you even realize it, you're defending yourself. It's instantaneous, almost automatic, and in that moment, you believe you're proving your worth, your integrity, your clarity. But I want to tell you something important today. Defending yourself is not strength. That instant need to justify, explain, or prove yourself, it comes from fear, not power. And if you want to truly stand in your own energy, reclaim your calm, and lead your life rather than constantly reacting to others, you need to understand why this pattern keeps you trapped and what you can do instead. It starts with awareness. The first step is noticing how often you do it, how natural it feels, how instinctive the reaction is. Think about the last time someone questioned something you did or said. Did you immediately start giving reasons, recounting your logic, justifying your choices? Did your mind race, trying to cover every angle to prove that you weren't wrong? This is not just a common behavior, it's a survival mechanism we've internalized over years. From childhood, we've been conditioned to seek approval, avoid conflict, and protect our image. You've heard it subtly, over and over. Be good, be kind, be agreeable, make sure people like you. You've been taught that to be respected, to be heard, to be understood, you have to constantly explain yourself, demonstrate your good intentions, and make sure everyone sees that you're right. And because these lessons were learned so early, they surface automatically in high-pressure moments, even when they no longer serve you. The problem is that every time you defend yourself, you give your energy away. You hand over the steering wheel of the interaction to someone else. You let their perception, their assumptions, and their emotions dictate your behavior. It doesn't matter if you are correct, kind, or reasonable. If you respond from reaction, you are no longer in control of your energy, your story, or your calm. Instead, you're operating from someone else's narrative. And the longer you live in that pattern, the more exhausted you become. It's like running on a treadmill that moves faster than you can keep up with, constantly explaining, justifying, and proving, only to feel drained and overlooked. Now, this isn't to say you should be cold or silent, or that you shouldn't stand up for yourself. It's not about avoiding conflict altogether or being passive in the face of criticism. It's about learning a better way. A way that protects your energy, maintains your dignity, and shifts the dynamic from reaction to response. There's a crucial difference between reacting and responding, and it's at the core of this entire conversation. Reacting is emotional, impulsive, and driven by fear. It is automatic. It's the quick defense mechanism that kicks in before your mind has the chance to assess the situation. Reacting is what happens when someone challenges you and you feel the compulsion to immediately justify yourself. It's the flurry of words, the nervous explanations, the recounting of your intentions, and the reasoning that often accomplishes nothing but exhaustion. Responding, on the other hand, is intentional. Responding is rooted in presence, groundedness, and awareness of your own energy. It is measured, deliberate, and aligned with your own sense of truth rather than the other person's demands. When you respond, you choose the timing, the words, and the energy you bring into the moment. You stop giving your power away and begin leading the interaction, not reacting to it. For example, imagine you miss a deadline at work by a few hours. The manager comes in frustrated, perhaps even raising their voice. Reaction might look like this: I had so many things going on, the system was down, I stayed late last night, and I even did X and Y. You start piling up explanations in a desperate attempt to justify yourself. Exhausting, right? It doesn't calm the situation, it doesn't help understanding, and it doesn't protect your energy. Now imagine responding instead: I hear your concern. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Short, calm, clear, controlled. You haven't begged for approval, you haven't justified your behavior, and you haven't handed your energy to someone else. You've simply acknowledged the situation and stated your intent moving forward. One of the most underappreciated tools in this process is silence. Silence is not weakness, it is strength. Stillness communicates authority, presence, and control in ways words often cannot. Think about it: when someone expects a rapid, panicked response, your pause unsettles them. It shifts the energy. It signals that you are grounded and intentional. It allows you to lead the tone instead of reacting to it. In situations where people are emotionally charged, the person who remains calm sets the rhythm. They are no longer at the mercy of someone else's urgency or drama. For instance, imagine someone publicly calls you out. The instinct may be to immediately defend yourself, to justify, to correct. But pause. Breathe. Then respond simply: I hear you. I'll address this later. But doing so, you maintain control of your presence, you preserve your calm, and you set a boundary without escalating the situation. You demonstrate strength not by the volume of your words, but by the command of your energy. Boundaries are the true measure of power. They are your personal lines of dignity and respect. Boundaries don't ask for permission. They don't seek approval. They simply declare what is allowed and what isn't. People often confuse boundaries with walls or distance, But boundaries are not about shutting others out. They are about protecting your inner world, your clarity, and your energy. A boundary might look like this: someone makes a sarcastic remark that crosses a line. Most people instinctively launch into explanation mode, trying to justify why it hurt, why it wasn't intentional, or why the comment is unfair. But a firm boundary works far better. I don't appreciate comments like that. If it happens again, I will walk away. Clear, concise, non-negotiable. No anger, no pleading, no over-explaining. You have asserted control over your energy. It is important to understand that defending yourself constantly invites pressure. When you explain, justify, and rationalize, you create a dynamic where the other person has the power to accept or reject your explanation. They become the gatekeeper of your integrity. Boundaries, in contrast, create space. They allow you to operate from your own authority. They are a declaration that your energy, your peace, and your presence are non-negotiable. They teach others how to treat you without you having to argue or over-explain. Now let's talk about why this matters beyond a single interaction. When you live in a state of defense, you are trapped in someone else's story. Their assumptions, their framing, their rules become your reality. You are scrambling to rearrange their narrative instead of standing in your own truth. This is exhausting and disempowering. When you stop defending yourself and start reclaiming your story, you stand firmly in your reality. You speak your truth without needing approval or validation. You stop chasing understanding from those who are invested in misunderstanding you. You reclaim your narrative, your energy, and your calm. Let me give you an example. Someone accuses you of being selfish. The reaction is immediate. No, I only did this because I thought it was best for both of us. And I also considered X and Y, and it wasn't about me, it was about exhausting, right? But when you respond with clarity instead, I disagree with that assessment, you instantly reclaim your narrative. You are no longer reacting from fear. You are anchored in your own truth. You are no longer playing their game. You are defining your own terms. A key element of this practice is becoming comfortable with being misunderstood. You don't need to clarify everything. You don't need to fix how others interpret you. You don't need to chase approval or validation. Your energy, your integrity, and your presence are not contingent on other people's understanding. When you stop over-explaining, you stop giving others control over your story. You stop feeding the cycle of judgment, doubt, and suspicion that comes when you react defensively. Instead, you operate from clarity, calm, and intentionality. Practical exercises can help reinforce this shift. Pause and breathe whenever you feel the urge to defend yourself. Let the immediate need to explain pass before responding. Use short, firm statements instead of long explanations. I disagree, I don't accept that, or I'll address this later. Reflect on your energy. Ask yourself if you're picking up someone else's emotional charge, and if so, step back. Visualize clear boundaries that separate your energy from theirs. Practice silence intentionally, noticing how the dynamics change when you refuse to give unnecessary oxygen to conflict or judgment. These exercises will help you reclaim your voice, your authority, and your calm presence. Another important dimension is understanding emotional neutrality. When someone tries to provoke you, doesn't validate your truth, or pushes your buttons, you don't need to engage. Emotional detachment, not coldness, allows you to maintain control. By remaining calm and grounded, you stop feeding the cycle. You don't escalate, you don't justify, and you don't hand over power. You maintain your own center, and in doing so, you shift the balance of every interaction. Reclaiming your story is also about self-respect. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how you respond and the standards you set for yourself. When you stop defending and start enforcing boundaries, you are effectively saying, my energy is mine, my peace is non-negotiable, my truth is clear. This is not arrogance, it is dignity, it is leadership over your own life. As you practice these skills, you will notice a shift. Interactions that used to drain you will become manageable. People who thrived on your over-explanations will start to adjust. You will stop feeling the need to justify your intentions. You will stop reacting to drama and instead respond from a grounded place. You will reclaim your narrative and your authority. And perhaps most importantly, you will begin to understand that your worth, your clarity, and your calm are not determined by others' acceptance. When we over-explain, defend, or justify, we are in a constant state of reactivity. We are letting the world, and often people who don't even understand us, dictate our energy. By stepping back, pausing, practicing silence, setting clear boundaries, and responding intentionally, we break that pattern. We move from survival mode into leadership mode. We move from reaction to intentional living. We step out of the role of responder and into the role of author. This approach applies not only in high-stakes work situations, but also in personal relationships. Friends, family members, romantic partners, they all test boundaries in various ways. They may not even be conscious of it. The difference is how you respond. You can maintain your calm, enforce boundaries, and reclaim your energy, or you can continue giving your power away through defense and over-explanation. The beauty of clarity, calm, and boundaries is that they create a ripple effect. When you stop defending yourself unnecessarily, you not only preserve your energy, but also teach others how to treat you. People respond to consistency, presence, and self-respect. They take cues from your energy more than your words. By living grounded in your truth, you silently communicate your standards, and those who respect you will adjust. Those who don't, you release without resistance. This is also about long-term change. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. It may feel like you are being rude, cold, or passive. You may feel guilty for not defending yourself in situations where you normally would. That discomfort is normal. It is the nervous system adjusting. You are rewiring the automatic response to react and defend into a conscious, intentional practice of clarity and leadership over your own energy. Ultimately, the goal is to stop proving, stop overexplaining, stop reacting from fear. Instead, respond from presence, enforce your boundaries, practice emotional neutrality, and reclaim your story. Stand firmly in your truth. Speak with clarity. Allow silence to communicate your authority. Lead your energy rather than letting it be controlled. This is not about controlling others. It is about commanding yourself. The shift is profound. When you stop defending yourself, you stop living in someone else's narrative. You stop giving away your energy to those who don't deserve it. You step into a space of calm, clarity, and presence that cannot be shaken by misunderstanding, criticism, or judgment. You become unshakable not because you dominate the conversation, but because you master yourself. This mastery is liberating. It allows you to make decisions without fear of judgment, to speak without desperation for approval, and to live without constantly adjusting for others' expectations. You stop being a prisoner of reactive patterns and start being an architect of intentional presence. You stop reacting to chaos and begin creating clarity. And the most empowering part is that you don't need anyone's permission to do this. You don't need to convince others of your integrity, nor do you need to justify your boundaries. You simply live in your truth, anchored in your own values, and allow the world to respond to you as it will. Your responsibility is not to manage others' perceptions, but to honor your own integrity. As you continue to practice this, you'll notice a shift in how you engage with life. Interactions that once left you drained now leave you empowered. Conversations that used to spiral out of control now flow with clarity and calm. You begin to feel a sense of peace that doesn't depend on external validation. You reclaim your energy, your story, and your authority. In essence, defending yourself is reactive and rooted in fear. Responding from clarity is proactive and rooted in power. Boundaries are leadership over your energy. Silence communicates strength. Presence anchors influence. By choosing clarity over chaos, boundaries over defense, and intentional response over reaction, you step into a life where your energy is yours, your story is yours, and your peace is non-negotiable.